Hey guys, well, we just came from Bangkok to Chennai and I learned something very important at the airport that could save you thousands of dollars on the spot fines at the Chennai International Airport. Obviously it's an India thing. I made some mistakes, don't want you to make the same mistakes. Check it out, I'm pushing this onto a YouTube video. I'm gonna go through exactly what happens when you bring items into the country over a certain value and you get stopped and they take your passport and they won't let you out until you've paid some money. So we'll go through that and we'll try and work out how this will not happen to you. All right, see you guys. Hey everyone, hey, I just coming back to, as promised, a discussion about the problems that you can encounter when you're going through the customs into India. So like I said before, we had an issue when we came into India. Everyone had to put all of their belongings, so purse, handbags, all of their carry stuff with them through a big x-ray machine, and a lot of people got stopped. We got taken out of the line, taken over to the customs area. You don't get to like say to your family, hey look, I'm getting dragged away. Like I said, my family's well behind me, they're still trying to get through immigration. No sir, you have to come now. We can't let you wait and tell them. They'll see you, don't worry about it. Okay? So the clock going off. So what that meant was I got dragged over to an area. My family didn't know where I was, and the reason that they took me to, I guess, the customs section was I brought in 6 1-ounce silver coins that came from the Perth Mint in Australia. Now these were a gift. Now you wouldn't think that's a big deal. I took these six silver coins, 6 ounces. I took them into Bangkok. No dramas. Out of Australia into Bangkok, no dramas. Into Vietnam, no dramas through Vietnam. And this is on my carry-on. It wasn't in my underneath luggage, so it came through. So Vietnam was an issue. Bangkok was an issue. When we got to Chennai, that's an issue. And so I got marched over, and we said to these people, I said, "Hey, what's going on?" "Oh, so you brought in bullion. It's there's a tax on that. You're bringing in an item that's a taxable item." And so there was a big board up on the left that it was saying to everyone, like, hey, here's the information that you're going to have to, here's the information that shows you what it is. If you're a Indian citizen, there was a bit of a threshold where you could bring in an amount of an item and then you wouldn't get charged. It wasn't much, so I converted it back and it might have only been $1,000. Right, so this is where the problem really lies. No one really tells you this when you're coming into India. So what they did was they took my 6 coins, they weighed them, they had this big long formula about what the silver price was today and how much it was worth, and then they charged me an extra 44% of what the coins were worth. So they cost me about $300 in Australia, and I had to pay $130 tax to the Indian government. So when they do this, they took the coins, they took my passport, and then all of a sudden you're left there with no passport, you haven't left the airport, and they've got your coins. At that point, they say to you, hey, if you don't want to bring these coins into the country, sign a thing, leave in the airport, and then when you come back to the airport, you can collect them from somewhere, some storage house or something, and then you won't charge you anything. But that wasn't the idea, that these coins were a gift to someone, right? So I was always going to do it. So that's the first problem. Next problem is they go, oh, and you have to pay this $130 fee, 44% of the value of the item. And I said, I don't have any Indian rupee on me yet. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. There's nowhere to do. I haven't done that yet. You dragged me straight out of the line. I haven't even got my bag. And how am I going to pay for this? Can I pay on my Amex? No, we don't take Amex. I'm like, oh, well, what am I going to do then? And they said, don't worry, sir. That little hole in the wall down there, that's actually a bank. It didn't look like a bank at all. It looked like someone's cousin was just in there with a chair and a little makeshift drawer. That's a bank. Take this slip down. You give him Australian dollars. He'll say that you've paid it. You bring the slip back, and we'll know that that's been paid. Then we'll give you your coins back, and you can go on your way. So you've got to pay this airport rapage sort of changeover of money as well, because there's no other way to do it. Because they got your passport, they're not going to let it go. So I was like, okay, this is really interesting. I haven't had that happen to me in any other country. All right. So bullion feels difficult to bring into India. It's probably just as difficult to leave in India. So you might say, well, that's okay, Scott. I'm never going to be carrying coins and I'm not going to give them as a gift. That's okay. All right. let's talk about some of the examples that happened right in front of me while I was there. So there was an American guy who looks like he was previously an Indian citizen, now he's an American citizen. He was coming over and he was bringing a gift of an iPhone to a friend of his in India. And they pulled him up and they said, hey, look, you've got 2 phones. Yeah? Wow, that's a bit suspicious. Okay, what's the second phone for? Oh, it's a gift. Oh, okay, it's a gift. Right, well, that means you're bringing in a taxable item. They charged him on this iPhone $500 US. $500 US at the airport, 2 o'clock in the morning, took his passport, same situation, same scenario. And I said to him, what would have made the difference there? So this is a tip. What would have made the difference where they would have left you alone? He said, because I didn't have a SIM operating in that phone, they said, we know it's a gift, it's not for you, it's not yours. Okay, we're going to tax it. We're going to put the customs tax on it. So guess what he could have done is he could have had his SIM from the US in his first one. The second one, sorry, Cup. The second one he could have maybe got an eSIM in his name just for the period of the travel, and maybe that would have been enough to actually get him through. So that was one thing. Look, there was another thing I saw. The guy had a little case, and there was a big thick lot of jewelry. There's a big necklace and a big ring. It was a big gold ring, and it was in a case. Now, because it was in a case and it wasn't on his person, they just definitely said, no, you're bringing in bullion in jewelry fashion, and we're gonna tax you. This gold would have been worth. Oh, it looked heavy. I reckon it was 4 ounces maybe on the chain, maybe an ounce on the ring, so maybe 5 ounces, so maybe $20,000 Australian, $12,000 US. And they said to him, look, now you can pay this massive fine now, or you can sign a thing, you can leave it at the airport, and then you can pick it up as you leave. Obviously in a case, it probably wasn't his personal stuff, he probably was giving it to someone, or I'm not sure what he's doing. And he said to me, you know what, how do I know that when I come back it's going to be the correct weight, you're not going to swap it over? And they sort of rolled their eyes at him, but that sort of stuff does happen. And he said, all right, maybe I'll leave it here. Maybe I'll do that thing you said. Maybe I'll sign it. I don't want to pay this massive, would have been thousands of dollars tax just to bring my own items into the country. Maybe I'll just do that. Maybe I'll do that leave it here thing. I'll take a photo of it. And they went, oh, are you sure you want to do that? Are you sure he doesn't pay the fee? As in like it's a big hassle. No, they don't want to do that. They just want the money. It's revenue raising. I have a feeling the customs guys actually work on commission as well, because they're pretty full on. So that was that situation. Now, if he was wearing that jewelry, maybe, but it was big jewelry, so they might have gone, oh look, nobody wears a big gold chain like that unless they're a gangster, so maybe we're gonna ping you on it. There was a lady who was wearing jewelry. She got pulled up as well, and they questioned her about that. I'm not sure how that went down, but she had to like try and talk about, hey, it's my personal belongings, it's my personal jewelry, this is just mine, I'm not giving it to anyone. They had to justify what you were doing. So these are the things that I've sort of learnt with Indian customs. I've never seen it in any other country. I'm assuming if you brought a laptop in, the laptop would have the same situation. I'm like saying, okay, if you had 2 laptops, well, one's for work, and maybe you could sort of say one is, if you're giving a laptop to a president, right, for someone, maybe you could say it was a second laptop for personal use, and maybe you could load up maybe your Outlook account on there, like Microsoft Suite or something, and maybe you could do that. And you can open it up and say, look, no, they're both mine. I'd use one for work and one for play. I'm not really sure. But they were pretty thorough. I mean, I got pinged just for 6 silver coins. I tried to say, look, there's 3 of us. We're only bringing 2 coins in each. Does that give any threshold? And they said, you're not an Indian citizen. There's 0 threshold. So we would just divide the tax by 3 and charge it 3 times. So it's irrelevant, right? So these are the things we learn at Indian Airport, and so I'd be very, very careful what style of gifts you might be bringing over to people in there, especially if it's bullion. You're going to get pinged. If you're wearing heavy jewelry and it's yours, you might get pinged for that, and then you might have to leave it because you don't want to pay a tax for your own items. You might have to pay to leave it at the airport. That'll be concerning for you. Are you going to get it back? Are they going to swap it out? Who knows, right? Bring the iPhone through me. I just couldn't believe it. So these are some of the things, guys. Look, if you're going into India and probably some other countries too, but I'm not sure who, but this one's the first one that's really thrown me like this. Be warned, be aware. Like, there was no way out of putting your stuff through the X-ray, even the airline staff, the pilots and the air hostesses, they came in straight behind us, and they had to put their gear through, so no one's missing out on that. The government's not going to miss out on that tax at the customs at the border. So anyway, guys, look, that's enough from me. I thought you might want to hear that. I promised we'd go in depth in that, and yeah, that was a very, very interesting experience. Not a welcoming one. So the government isn't as welcoming as the citizens of India. So take it that which you will. All right, I'll catch up soon. See you guys.